Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into this inaugural video from the Stolen Valor Medicine channel. My name is Sean Griffiths. Thanks for tuning in and let me kind of talk about in this video, number one, why we're doing this, why I kind of wanted to take on this project and talk about things at a greater level. And so this video is basically going to explain why we're starting this channel and the why behind the what. So thanks for tuning in to our first episode. Okay, go on. Why does this channel exist? A few reasons. It's my belief that the current training courses are inadequate for long-term development. You basically get some training at the initial outset, whether that is your EMT basic, your paramedic, your 6-day whiskey training, your Air Force medic training, your residency if you're a physician, and then decides to go away, go learn on your own. And there's no continued training beyond what are kind of what I would consider lame continuing medical education courses. A lot of the courses, especially when you get down into the medic and nursing level, they're inadequate in their discussion of pathophysiology. They say, do these things because I said so, not explaining in detail enough the reasons why patients are sick and why patients are dying and the interventions of what we're doing. They may tell you why the medicines work, but not what's actually happening in the patient's body, and we're going to delve deeper into pathophys. Current training courses also paint things black and white. If you're going to teach to 1,000 people, you really want to design a course that doesn't leave a lot of ambiguity. I can totally appreciate that. I have instructed for a long time, and I can really understand that you want to be clear when you're giving people instruction. That being said, medicine isn't black and white. It's very nuanced. It's more complicated than that, and it's a living, breathing science. And so this platform, the ability to update and change as guidelines come out and change, as experience changes, we're able to paint in a more nuanced color palette. Medicine's never settled, like I said, so the guidelines that we have should have the ability to flex, and most guidelines do, but they probably don't flex at the speed of medicine. They flex at their speed of the organization of which you're a part of. Okay, here's the other why, probably the more important why. This is a famous picture that a lot of people may have seen in the past, but the reality of it is, whether you're in a first responder, a police officer, a paramedic, somewhere in the military working in civilian hospitals, we are playing for keeps, okay? There's real people on the other end in that patient bed, and they deserve your best, okay? This is a famous picture. This person's name is Kyle Hockenberry. He was wounded by an IED blast in 2011 in Afghanistan. He lost both his legs and his left upper extremity. He's a real person. He's not just a picture that was posted all over the internet and all over news feeds at the time as the sacrificial lamb for the American foreign policy or whatever way you wanted to spin it. He was a real person, and he deserves the best possible care that he got, and he's alive today because of the care that he got. He's a husband to his wife Ashley, and father to his son Reagan at the time, because of who was there at the time to help him, these people who took care of him, and the people that took care of him in his follow-on care. And so every single person has a story like that you're going to see in your life, and readiness is a binary concept. You're going to be ready for them, or you're not going to be ready for them. You're going to have the skills necessary to take care of them and see them through, or you're not. It's not time to spin up when the patient rolls in, okay? And so we need to just be ready when the time comes, and that is basically requires constant vigilance. When you're in the military, the deployed environment is a very unforgiving place, but I would argue that first responders in America go see bad stuff every day, go to bad calls every day, and so they're seeing just as many sick people as we are as well. And so there is no spin-up time. We have to be ready constantly. And so this picture is basically just to remind you that the people that we're going to see, they're real people, they got real lives, they got real families. Here's our target population: military, active duty, guard reserve, medics, PA nurses, and physicians, okay? And then civilian paramedics, SWAT medics, maybe some wilderness med people. I don't do like a ton of wilderness med. I like wilderness med, sure, like everybody else, but I'm from Florida, so I don't ski, I don't mountain climb, I don't do anything like that. But maybe some wilderness med stuff that we'll get into. We'll certainly get into like snake bites and some tox stuff and stuff like that. The population is people that touch patients. That's really the population. Who we're really not targeting, we're not targeting prepper people, we're not targeting just kind of regular dudes who want to learn some stuff. That's great if you want to do that, but this is a skill set that requires a lot of practice. It requires some baseline training before you even get into me in these videos, and so it might be too advanced for you, but check it out and see what you see. Who am I? So my name is Sean Griffiths. I'm an emergency medicine physician. Based in Texas, I went to Florida State. Florida State's near and dear to my heart, even though we suck now. And then I did my emergency medicine residency at Brooke Army Medical Center in San Antonio. After graduating from LECOM in Bradenton, was the medical school I went to. I stayed on at BAMC. After that, I liked working at a trauma center. I liked working with residents. I liked teaching. Ultimately, I did 7 years active duty in the Air Force, deployed as an Air Force ground surgical team in 2020, 2021 to the Middle East, and had a really good time there. Learned a ton, got a lot of experience. Here's some pictures from there. Dog time, whole blood training, all sorts of stuff like that. During my active duty time, I just really developed a love for teaching. We did a ton of teaching while I was deployed, and a ton of teaching. Obviously, I work at a residency program, did a ton of teaching to residents, and I really enjoyed teaching medics and nurses, kind of the why behind the things that we're doing. Did some other trips. We did a lot of simulation while we were there, some dog stuff, and yeah, a lot of really high fidelity training we did too. Did some trips while I was active duty down to Southcom, to Central America, teaching local medics there and doing some knowledge sharing. And I really did decide at that time that, like, okay, I think one thing that is going to be a pillar in my career is teaching. I really like teaching. It's not for everybody, but I think it is definitely for me. I really like teaching medics and nurses the reasons why we're doing things. Why does the TXA work? Why are we getting whole blood versus partition products? Why are we doing ketamine versus morphine versus whatever? Okay, I really enjoy that. Why are we cracking people versus intubating people? I transitioned to the Guard recently, and so I'm finding that I'm taking on more of a training role there as well. So I figured I was doing some training for them, and I figured I needed to take these videos that I'm making for them and put them out on the internet for everybody to use, so that's not just a small group of people getting them. I make no money from them, certainly, and please disseminate them far and wide. Okay, some hills I'll die on. No one deserves to die when we aren't ready. We need to be ready all the time because that person's a real person. Every single patient deserves the best, and medicine is much more nuanced than your training cadre would have had you believe. And then the data behind what we do is really important to understand and analyze. So you're basically, for the most part, you're sitting in a lecture and you're listening to PowerPoint and they're telling you this is the answer, and this is the answer in God's eyes, my eyes as your instructor, I'm God in this room, and then also you will teach this to your junior medics below you, and everyone will learn the exact same thing. The reality of it is, there's, what is it, lies, damn lies, and statistics. The data can be nuanced, fudged, lie. It doesn't matter if it doesn't apply to your patient population. So there are some controversies that we'll go over in some of the data and some of the guidelines. The ability to critically analyze data is very relevant to someone who's touching patients. Okay, so we'll talk about some of that. I don't like research particularly. I don't do a ton of research, but the ability to digest research is just absolutely fundamental to anyone who's touching patients. Okay, the structure, they'll be heavily drawn from the Joint Trauma System CPGs, just that's because of my military background, but they have like direct translations into the civilian world. Okay, we'll start with March algorithm just so we're all on a common framework. This is what the military usually does for their like primary survey stuff. We'll get some of that basic stuff out of the way, and then we'll delve into new topics basically every month or every couple weeks or so. Heavy military discussion, but most of the principles have like direct correlation in the civilian world. And then certainly if you start to get into like talking about large-scale combat operations in the future, you're talking about like mass mobilization of the medical infrastructure of America. And so you could find yourself working in a civilian hospital in Missouri and treating large numbers of combat wounded. Hopefully, God forbid, that doesn't happen, but the combat casualty care guidelines they are universal. Okay. Here's all the stuff we'll talk about: point of injury, TGMC, TCR, en route care, what to expect when you're deployed, if that applies to you. We'll get some topic-specific stuff: burn, tox, infectious disease, neurocritical care. We'll eventually dive into some large-scale combat operations stuff, and then maybe some culture, mindset, personal narrative things you tell yourself. The story you tell yourself about yourself is very important. So, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Stolen Valor Medicine. It's just a plan where I didn't know what to call, and I thought this one was funny. Basically just some people getting together and trying to do our best to help everybody. Feel free to share these, disseminate the videos far and wide to anyone who's interested in improving their skill set. Reach out to me. There's the email below. My goal is basically everyone who watches these videos walks away with a deeper understanding of the material. I don't necessarily want you to change your practice to be me. There's already one Dr. Griffiths. There doesn't need to be another. But I just want you to think about this and say, hey, that's interesting. Maybe my instructor didn't tell me that. Or I thought this was the gospel, and now I'm realizing it's a little bit more complicated than that. And then, hopefully we're all increasing our skill set. Allow me some grace, give me some time to figure out how to do this kind of thing. I've never done anything like this before. And so we'll get better together, we'll all get smarter together, and this will be for the good of the patients, okay? Well, thanks so much. I appreciate your time, and see you guys out there.